Greetings everybody, Alex here. Welcome to part 2 of my NALCAP series. In this video, I'm going to be introducing you to the NALCAP website, and I'm going to spend most of the time talking about some of the specific aspects of applying through what is called PROFEX, which is the application, the website that the applications are actually submitted through to apply for a NALCAP. So, let's get to it. Okay, you guys, so here on the screen, we've got the NALCAP homepage website. This website is by the Spanish government, and this is where it talks about the NALCAP program. If you need to get here, you can look at the URL up on the top, or basically you can just go to Google and type in NALCAP, hit enter, and this is the first link that will come up. So this is the home page. Now, there are lots of things on here that are helpful. Of course, right here at the top, we've got the program overview where it goes through a lot of the things that I talked about in my first video, what the program is, things like that. And then down here at the bottom, we have program eligibility. One thing that I do just simply want to mention real quick that I didn't really spend much time on, I just barely mentioned in passing in the first video, is that as far as eligibility, you do have to have a college degree, a diploma, or you have to be enrolled as a sophomore, junior, or senior. So if you have not gone to college and are not currently in college, then you cannot participate in this program. Now, if you are in college and you're beyond freshman year, or you have graduated and have your diploma, then assuming you meet all the other requirements, you can apply to this program. So I did want to just mention that because I didn't really specify that in the first video. So here's the home page. What we're going to be looking at today is the application process. Now, if you look over on the left side on this bar, there's all kinds of things that are super helpful. If you are interested or you are applying this process, you need to go through all these pages and just read, because this is the official website. But today we're going to be looking at the applying to NALCAP. So I click there. Right here at the top, we've got all kinds of super helpful stuff. Okay, right here under getting started, we have NALCAP general information, application guidelines, PROFEX handbook, which we'll be spending time in today, recommendation letter, guidelines, facts, recap, NALCAP timeline, so forth and so on. These are PDFs that you can open, and they will explain lots of the details that you need to know for applying and going through the process. We've also got some more required documents for the initial application, which is what we're kind of going to be talking about today. And then we've got placements, how many placements were put in each of the autonomous communities of Spain for the previous year. And then we've got PROFEX, which is where we'll be spending most of our time. So first thing, let's talk about the required documents. I mentioned this at the end of video number 1. In order to apply to this program, you have to have a scanned copy of the main photo page in your U.S. passport, or if you're from Canada or UK or whatever. I'm an American citizen, United States citizen, so I'm going to be presenting this from that angle, from that perspective. So for a United States citizen, you have to have a copy of the main page of your valid U.S. passport. You have to have your official college transcript or diploma. You have to have a signed statement of purpose, which, if you remember up here, there's a link talking about some of these links talk about what you have to have in that statement of purpose, how long it has to be, in the application guidelines and general info. And then you have to have a letter of recommendation, which there's a link about that up here as well, recommendation letter guidelines. So as far as the specifics of what those look like, you can check out these links, these PDFs, and they will explain all of that. But today we're going to be looking at where you're going to put all these things and how you're going to put all that in. And that is where PROFEX comes into account. So again, we're here at the top of the Applied NALCAP page. When we scroll down like we did earlier, you're going to see what is PROFEX right here. It's going to just explain what that is. And then just below that, you're going to see where it says apply on the PROFEX portal. And here PROFEX is a link. So you want to click that. Okay, this is going to take you to the PROFEX portal. Okay, and this is PROFEX. Now, we're going to be talking about getting into this in just a couple of issues that came up this year in the application process. So I'm actually going to go back, because on this page at the top, we see this link for the PROFEX handbook. This is where you are going to go, and it's going to tell you everything that you need to know about using PROFEX, setting up PROFEX, applying in PROFEX, all of these things. Okay, so this is where I'm actually going to be showing you some of the things here, because there were a couple of things in the handbook that were a little bit off or not quite so straightforward, okay? So this is a table of contents. PROFEX basically just says what it is, creating a new account on PROFEX, filling out the CV sections, how to submit your application, okay? So the first thing you have to do, and it is very important, very, very, very important, that you set up PROFEX before applications open. And the reason for this is because when the applications open, and I mean the second that applications open, the website gets flooded with people applying. You get your placement, you get the region, and we talked about this in the first video. You get to pick your top 3 preferred regions, but the placements go according to your application number. So the lower your number is in application, the more likely you'll get the region that you wanted. So the website gets flooded of people, new people, as well as renewals, because you can do this for up to 5 years, who are trying to get the lowest application number possible. And so when the website gets flooded, it's busy, the website starts like failing, it starts just not working, running really buggy and slow. And so you don't want to have to wait until then, when everybody else is actually getting their application submitted, for you to be setting up your PROFEX in the first place. So you want to do all this setup beforehand. Okay, so section 2 here, creating a new account on PROFEX. This is going to walk you through it. It's very straightforward, very simple. It's going to show you pictures here of what the actual website looks like, and then these red boxes with the red arrows is going to tell you exactly what you need to do, because this is a Spanish website. So on the website it's going to be all in Spanish in the actual application. So this is going to tell you what you need to do, because of course most Americans and most non-Spaniards and non-Latin Americans don't speak Spanish. So this is going to walk you right through it. I'm not really going to go into super depth on all of these, because that's what this handbook is for. But what I do want to do is talk about some things that were actually wrong. They were actually incorrect and caused people, including myself, to get tripped up along the way. And the first one is in filling out your PROFEX account, getting it ready before applications open. So the first thing it's going to do is going to walk you through setting it up, putting your name in, passport number, all this stuff, all that stuff. It's going to tell you to log out and then log back in, just to make sure it's all set up. And then you're going to go and fill out more of the personal information, the CV section. Okay, so we see here section number 3 on the table of contents is filling out the CV. So this is after you've set up your account. Now you need to fill out your personal info. So I'm just going to click here and it's going to take us to it. So filling out the CV. So we're getting into here. It's going to tell you how to log in. Again, these little boxes and arrows. What you need to click on. Acceso al trámite. Pardon me if my Spanish pronunciation is poor. So here we're going to go in, fill out our personal information. Again, boxes, arrows, boxes, arrows. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, so right here on the PROFEX portal, you're going to have to fill out these things. Okay, nombre, apellido, which is name, last name. Segundo apellido, that's for people with 2 last names, like Hispanic background, last names, Spanish heritage, so forth and so on. Again, the PROFEX handbook walks you through this, but there is one mistake. Okay, now you'll see I'll zoom in a little bit, where it says fotografía tamaño carnet. This is where you are able to upload a photo of yourself. Now, on this next page, it tells you all this. It walks you through this. But you'll notice right here, it says passport size photograph optional. That is not true, okay? This year, and I don't know what it was like in past years, but this year, you had to have a photograph. And if you did not have a photograph uploaded, then when the applications opened, it would not let you enter into the actual application. Okay, and this tripped me up. I was not able to enter in the application. I was on the website the second it opened, but I wasn't able to get in for, number one, the website was running slow, but I wasn't able to get in because I didn't have a photograph updated, because this said it was optional. And what happened was I was clicking on trying to get into the application, and it kept just basically refreshing the page. It wouldn't let me in, and I didn't realize it, but there was a little red box showing up at the bottom with an error message and it was telling me I was missing something, or I didn't have a photograph or something like that. But the whole website was in Spanish, and I'm learning Spanish, but I'm not yet to the point where, I'm just like, oh, I see what that says. It takes brain power and effort. Also, I knew that the website would run slow with all the traffic, so I just kind of assumed it was because of traffic. Came back a couple hours later, still wasn't working, and I finally noticed that little box. So all that to say, simply, you have to have a photograph, okay? And if you're missing something here in this section, it may not be, unless you're just like really good with Spanish or whatever, you may not realize it when that little error message is popping up when you're trying to enter the application. So make sure you follow this to the T, except for when it's wrong. And right here, it was wrong, at least this year. Hopefully in future years, they'll have this fixed. But the photograph is required. So what I did, I just took my smartphone, took a selfie against a wall, and it was too big to upload it, so I just literally just cropped it on the computer and just shrank it down, and it let me upload it. Okay, simple enough. So that was stumbling block number 1. Okay, photograph. It was required, so you might as well just go ahead and do it. Even if in the future it says it's not required, just do it just in case. It's simple. Take a picture, upload it. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about, that's filling out the CV section. Everything else was fine on the directions here. Okay. The next thing that we want to talk about is in the submitting the application. So after you fill out the CV, you're going to wait for the day when the application's open. And you're going to open up PROFEX, you're going to enter into the application, and you're going to go through this. Now, there were a couple of things here that caused people some confusion and caused some issues. Okay, 2 things specifically. So I've clicked on it. We're down here and it's still in the PROFEX handbook. This is a picture of where you're going to be going. You're going to click on Auxiliares de Conversación, Presentación de Solicitudes. Zoom in a little bit so I can actually see what I'm reading. Okay, and then it's going to walk you through the application process here in the handbook. Click on this, blah, 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 blah. On this page, here's a picture of what the website looks like. This is where you're going to upload your 4 documents, okay? You're going to check mark these boxes on the left where the arrows are pointing, and then right here where it says Añadir Documento, that is where you're going to add the document that is required, okay? And it's going to tell you which ones goes where down here at the bottom. Document 1, copy of your main page of your passport. Okay, so at this top one, assuming this is the same in future years, make sure you're reading the handbook and you're doing what it tells you to do. This is where you're going to upload the scan of your passport photo page. Okay, the second box, there's nothing to upload, you just click it. Okay, and then you're going to put your official transcript or diploma in number 3, number 4, statement of purpose, and then number 5, letter of recommendation. Okay, straightforward. Now, here's stumbling block number 2, okay? After you get through that, you're going to be taken to the part where you're going to select your region preferences, okay? And it's going to look like this. You're going to see this little box here where it says Destino, España, means Spain, Preferencia, so forth, so on. Inscrita, that's basically your application. And then, as you see here, the handbook says just click on this icon and a list of the regions will come up. Here's the problem. The website really stresses following this to a T because it's very meticulous and you have to get everything right. But when it stresses that following it to a T, when something's off, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do? Well, it says that the icon is this little box with a magnifying glass, okay? This box with a magnifying glass. Here's the issue, that when you go through this the first time, this is not the icon that shows up. It's actually a box with a check mark in it. Okay, it's a box with a check mark. Now, after you select your regions, it changes to this icon. So if it's a box with a check mark, it's indicating that you have not yet selected your preferred regions. If you are checking through your application, making sure everything's there after you've done everything, then you'll see this, meaning, I guess, that it's signaling that you have already selected your region preferences. So it's going to be the first time through, at least this year, it was a box with a check mark. Just click on it, okay? You're going to click on it. And then another thing that happened here with this icon is that because the website was so slammed with so many people right off the bat, it was running super slow. And when people would click on this icon, including myself, it just wouldn't load. It would kind of stay there. and nothing would happen. Or you would see the little wheel spinning in the tab at the top of your browser, and it would just keep spinning. And sometimes it would even just boot you out of PROFEX. You'd have to log back in and find your way back to this spot. So if that happens, it's okay. It just means the website's running slow. Okay, you'd think that this far into the 21st century you wouldn't have this problem, but we do. So if that happens, just keep reloading in, keep refreshing the page, and keep clicking on it until the next screen pops up. Okay, it's just running slow. When it does pop up, this is what you're going to see. And here was something else that some people were a little bit confused about. This screen is where you're going to select your 3 preferred regions. Okay, now you can't just pick any 3. And what I mean by that is you will see here that the regions are divided into 3 columns. You can only pick 1 region from each column, okay? You cannot pick more than 1 region from the same column. So for example, this person has region number 1, and you select which one you want to be number 1, 2, or 3. Number 1 being the one you want the most, okay? This person, for their most preferred region, it's column number 1, Galicia, okay? Their second is over here on the right column, it's Castilla-León. And their third preferred region is over on the left, Asturias. Okay? Now, some people, and actually this was me, wanted to select more than 1 region, like their second and third preferred region from the same column, but you can't do that. For example, my preferred region was Madrid. Okay? And that is in the far right column. If I had my way, my second preferred region would have been Andalusia. And that's also in the far right column. But I couldn't do that because I'd already selected Madrid. And they're both in the same column. So you can only select 1 from each column. So you cannot pick Asturias over here on the left as your first preferred, Extremadura as your second preferred, and then País Vasco as your third preferred. You can't do that. You have to pick 1 from each column. So just keep that in mind. And one thing that's super helpful if you just don't know about Spanish geography or where things are, pull up a map on Google of the different regions, okay? And then you can even print it out and color the ones that are according to column if you just really want to do that. It wasn't necessary for me, but pull up a map of the regions if you care, and then figure out, okay, this is where this one is, this is where I want to be, this is close. So what I did, for example, I knew I wanted to be in Madrid, I knew I wanted to be near Madrid, and I may talk in future videos about why I wanted to be in Madrid, but I knew I wanted to be in or near Madrid, so my second and third were regions that were close to Madrid. Okay, so even if I don't get Madrid, at least I'll be relatively close instead of super, super far away. So that's selecting that, okay? And again, once you've done that, then this icon, the little check mark box, like I was saying, the little box with the check mark will change to this icon if you go back through, okay? So the last thing that I really want to talk about, because most of the rest of the stuff in the handbook, this is all very straightforward, okay? The last thing I want to talk about very briefly is the inscrita number. Okay, so when you get done with everything in your application and you submit it, first of all, keep in mind that once you submit your application, you can't change anything. It's done. Okay, so make sure you have everything that needs to be in there and make sure that it's the way you want it with your preferred regions and whatnot. Once you submit it, it's done. Until you submit it, you can go back and adjust and change things, okay? But once you submit it, it's going to tell you to log back out, log back in, the handbook will, and then you're going to see this right here, okay, this box. Now, you're going to see that it says inscrita. You see the handbook has it red right here. Inscrita means that you are applied, okay? Now, finding out your application number, what your, how far along you were, what was your application relative to everybody else? Were you the first one to apply? Were you the 500 to apply? Okay, it's going to tell you right here under numero solicitud, okay, and right here it's in this gray box. It's got it zoomed in a little bit. It won't be this big on the actual page, but you'll see this right here. Now in this, the first 2 numbers are representing the year, okay? Now whoever did this is 2023, so the upcoming cycle will be the 23-24 cycle, 2023 through 2024 school year, and they've gone through and updated. You see right here where I'm highlighting, it's got 2023, but somebody forgot to update this 22. Whatever year it is, that's going to be the first 2 numbers, okay? So this year it's 23. It starts with 23. Those are the first two numbers. They just forgot to update the handbook. I'm not sure what the dash is for, but the 2AXC, well, I'm not really sure what the 2 is either, but the AXC is Auxiliar de Conversación. That's the position that you're applying for. An auxiliar, okay, an assistant of conversation. Okay, that's the program you're applying for, the position you're applying for. After that, beginning with the zeros, is your inscrita number. Okay, so this person's inscrita number was 5315, 5,315. That means that they were the 5,315th person to submit their application. So they're pretty high on up there. You know, this person may not get the regions that they want, at least not the first one probably. Anything could happen. There are different situations, but if you're a new applicant and you're in the 5,000s, if you're picking a popular region, you're probably not going to get it. You're not going to get Madrid, the most popular, if you're in the 5,000s. Okay, most likely. Again, anything's possible. So this is going to tell you. So my inscrita number was 595. So mine had 000595. The zeros are just placeholders to, make it larger for more numbers. Okay, so that's where you find your inscrita number. There were a lot of people asking about that, and what I mean is there's a Reddit page, and I will link it in the description below. You need to check out the Reddit page. Also check out the Facebook page, but especially check out the Reddit page because there are people posting there, new timers, old comers, renewals, all of the above, helping each other. Great comments, great questions, and people helping each other through the process. So make sure that you save the Reddit page and check it. There will be people talking about some issues they run into that might help you. You can post about issues and ask help and questions. Great resource. But there were a lot of people this year talking about, where can I find my inscrita number? And it's right here, okay? So that's where your inscrita number is, your application number, and that's how you can find out. This is the very end of the PROFEX handbook. It's just simply telling you the different statuses of your application. So whatever your application status is, that's where it says inscrita, situación, solicitud. This status is applied. Now there are different statuses. There's status for it before you've applied, bordador. Have a hard time rolling my R's. Inscrita, applied. Registrada, which means that you're missing something, that you need to add something back, okay? Admitida. Okay, admitida is when your application has been reviewed and they have decided you are eligible to receive a placement. So this does not mean that you are guaranteed a placement. It means that you are eligible to receive a placement. So let's say that your application 20,000, okay? They didn't give out that many placements this last year, and I doubt they ever will. But let's just say that you're the 20,000th person to apply, okay? They go through, they see your application is good, they hit admitida, okay? You're accepted. Your application is accepted. You are eligible. So when they come to giving out placements, then they give out, I don't know how many placements they give out, but let's just say that they give out, 15,000 placements. I'm just throwing numbers out. Okay, well, you were 20,000, and the first 15,000 all accepted their placement. You were admitida, but you didn't get a placement because they were all taken before they got to you. Okay, so that's how that works. That's why it's super important to have PROFEX ready before the day applications open. That's why it's super important to get on PROFEX as soon as possible once the applications open and apply. Okay, so you can be admitida and not get a placement. Okay. Candidato seleccionado is when you have been offered a placement. Once applications close is typically when they start giving out placements to first years. Now, this year, they started giving out placements to renewals before applications closed. But I don't know if that's how they did it before, but if you are a renewal, which if you are, I don't imagine you'll probably be watching this video because you've already done all this before. But if you're a renewal, make sure you're checking your status even before applications close. And if you're not a renewal, if you're new, it doesn't hurt to be checking anyway. But they aren't supposed to be giving out New Year placements until after applications close. So once they do that, they're going to send you an email, and they're going to change your status to candidato seleccionado, which means that you've been selected, you have been offered a placement. You will have 3 days to go into PROFEX and accept this placement. Now, if something comes up, you don't want to go, you can't go, you don't have to do anything. But if you don't go in and accept, you will be passed over, you will be dropped from the program that year. You can reapply the next year, but you'll be dropped from the program. You have to accept. Okay, you have to go and accept within those 3 days. So it's important to keep an eye on your email, check PROFEX every now and then, so forth and so on. If you accept, your status will change to plaza aceptada. You have accepted your placement and you are going to Spain. Okay, so that is the PROFEX handbook and a little bit of the issues that were coming up in PROFEX. Hopefully that was helpful. There were a couple of things there that I stumbled over, such as the icon and the photo and things. So hopefully in years to come, people will find this and they will find it helpful. If you have any comments or questions, leave it in the comments below and I will try to get back to you. Other than that, appreciate you watching this. We're going to close it out. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Appreciate you sticking around. Hope that you'll stay tuned for the upcoming videos where I'm going to be talking more about the next steps in the process, such as applying for the visa, as well as getting ready to actually go to Spain. So, until next time, peace.